Thursday, but we missed last Thursday because we climbed a mountain in the morning and then did a photo shoot and hung out, right? So we missed hanging out with you guys though. So this week we get to hang out with you guys and we get to talk about maybe one of, cumulatively, like all three of our favorite thing is living a life of purpose. And so that's what we're going to get down on tonight. Does that sound fair to everybody? So 3 ways to unlock living a life in purpose. My understanding from people everywhere that I talk to is that everybody wants to live a life of purpose. It just is very like ambiguous and foggy and cloudy, and they don't really understand what that looks like. So imagine if you had, I don't know, like a pathway to do that. I don't know. Anywho, here's Dave and Troy with me, the OOLA guys, and we are here to talk about this tonight. So, who wants to take it away?
I'm gonna start, and I want to like first say congratulations to Martha for climbing the mountain. Congratulations! I think everybody should be like, wow, it was a big deal. It was super fun hanging out with you and getting to know you a lot better, and look forward to the stuff we're doing down the road in the future. But I think the best thing you said is like ambiguous, like living life ambiguously and not having a plan, not having a purpose. But what happens is you don't aimlessly go through life without a plan. You let the unbalanced world plan it for you. They tell you to lease the car. They tell you to eat this food. They tell you to believe a certain way. And what we say in OOLA all the time is we want to live with a strong purpose on exactly what you're designed to live. So the core foundations of OOLA is the unbalanced world is going one way, and we're saying, hey, there's a better way to live your life. We talked about this a lot when we were climbing that mountain, Martha. Every time we stopped and you finally caught your breath and you're able to speak,
you would talk about, you guys.
Hey, it was a thing. It was like, hey, Martha, we got 30 seconds here. When you catch your breath, answer the question. It took us like the whole mountain to get one question out. But we talked a lot about how the unbalanced world pushes people we love, ourselves, etc., down a certain path. And that path usually involves, if we look at statistics of an unbalanced world, it usually involves 53% of people being married to someone they can't stand. It involves 70% of people being in a job they hate. It involves unsurmountable amounts of student loan debt, consumer debt that are at an all-time high. 30 to 40% of Americans being obese, overweight, struggling with diabetes and heart disease. That's where, if you don't have a plan and you don't have a purpose, that's where you're going to end up finding yourself, whether it's at 30, 40, 50, or 60. And we're saying that we're kind of sick of that. In OOLA, we're not kind of sick of it. We're very sick of it. And we know there's a better way. And we want people to live differently. We want people to live the way that they want to live on their terms with their purpose. But a lot of them need a path to follow. And what we're going to unveil today is the 3 simple steps to your OOLA life. And this is so important because it's literally like going from point A to point B. Like when you landed in Arizona, Martha, you had to say, okay, now we're in Arizona. We want to get to the hotel. And you had to grab an iPhone and you had to put in the address. And then your iPhone said, this is where you are right now. This is where you want to go. Now here's how you're going to get there. And OOLA is the exact same way, is the 3 simple steps to your OOLA life, which is the most valuable thing that I think we teach is the foundations of really getting people to be aware, because it creates that awareness that, hey, the unbalanced world is doing this, but I'm going to do something different.
Amen to that. Were you going to say something, Troy?
Well, his metaphor is perfect, because what we do though as a culture, and I've done it, you've done it, Dave's done it, those watching have done it. Instead of opening your phone and saying, where do I want to go? We just open our phone and we just say, hey, it looks like a lot of people going that way. There must be something down that street. Or there's a lot of people going, which is debt, by the way. And there's a lot of people going that way, which is poor food and inactivity. There's a lot of people going that way, which is disconnected from the people you love and just attached to a screen. And that's exactly what this is. This is that wake-up call for people. And that's what the bus is about, is when you actually stop today and just look at your life. And for the first time, because we lie to ourselves enough that we start to believe our own crap. We start to believe, yeah, my marriage is great. We start to believe our own Instagrams, right? I'm fine with money. I'm crushing my business. My health is great, and eventually we even start to believe it. And this is that moment where we just confront the life we're living and saying, is this what I want? Is this in alignment with my purpose? The minute we change who we are to seek someone else's approval, which we do as a world, right? We change who we are to seek someone's approval or to meet someone else's expectation for who we are. We lose a little bit of who God intended us to be. So we're born with this thing, we believe in OOLA, that is a God-given greatness. It's this gift that makes us unique and amazing, and we have different skills and abilities and gifts and talents. But we start changing ourselves and going, because we don't have a map, we don't have a dot to look at. We start, maybe I should do that because my parents suggested that, or maybe I should do that because my friends are all doing that, and maybe I should do that. And we find ourselves in this place, and we just feel uneasy. We feel like we don't belong. We feel like we're an imposter. We feel like I'm living this life that's so disconnected. It's because we've gotten so far away from that point of purpose that we're unhappy, and we don't even know where to begin. And I love this topic today because it's at the very first step of OOLA, is to be able to honestly confront where you are, not just in general, like I'm happy or unhappy, I'm overwhelmed, I'm at peace. It's like, no, where am I in the 7 key areas of life? Not in other distracting sort of things, but in the 7 key areas, where am I today?
It's the actual, when you said you start believing your own Instagram, or you start believing that what you need is somebody else's Instagram in your life in order to be perfect. And of course you don't even understand what's going on in their life, and people don't really even think about that, right? But everybody has their own purpose. Everybody has their own thing that is like their own internal guiding light. And it has been like a wet, a wet blanket has been put on it for so long because people are chasing exactly what you guys are saying. They're chasing the narrative. They're chasing what they're supposed to be chasing. And please understand that if you find yourself chasing these things that really don't fill you up, understand that what you're actually doing is you're serving somebody else's agenda. Okay? It's time to start serving our own agenda and serving our way that we're going to show up in service, our way that we plan on showing up in the world, the life we desire to live. Our own, let's make our Instagram reflective of authenticity and transparency in our life, so then we can show up and show other people how to do that as well. Be authentic and transparent and, dare I say, real, right? And make that the popular thing to do instead of the perfect family, the kids that don't cry or whine or write on the wall, right? Like it's these images are put in front of us to make us feel like we have holes in who we are. And not one of us has holes in who we are. We have things that we can make better and that we can focus on, right? Like the 7 F's. That is, whenever you go through the wheel, you guys, you're going to be able to identify the things that you desire to focus on, the things that are creating a wonky experience for your life, right? You're going to be able to focus on those things. And that is what we need to be doing as an entire, as humanity. I'm going to make it that big, right? Like as humanity, that's what we need to be focusing on, because you guys, as we, like you that are watching us right now, you're watching us because this is you. You're watching us because you are the person who is going to stand up in your own circle and shine bright. Now, you may not be doing it right now yet. You may not feel ready to do it yet. That doesn't matter to me. The fact that you're watching right now means that that is you. Okay? So now let's just take it a step further. Who wants to take the next step?
I'm actually gonna touch back on step 1 a little bit, because I know when we go into the mastermind coming up on December 7th, it's going to be, the first part is really going to be digging into this. And for any of you that have been watching this series, you know that my life in 2007 took a downward spiral where I found myself bankrupt, divorce, all that. What I wanted to do when I was hurting and at the bottom is I wanted to sweep all of this under a rug. I didn't want to be self-aware. I didn't want to be aware of where I was in my life. I didn't want to look at my finances. I didn't want to look at my family life. I didn't want to look at my career path. I didn't want to look at anything because everything sucked. It was zero. And what Dr. Troy told me at that moment when I called him, when I was at the bottom living in that motel, I called him and I said, you know, you're never going to believe where my life is right now. He said at the end of that conversation, he said something really important that I think is so valuable for everyone listening to hear. And he said, where you are is just where you are. It's not who you are. You're designed by God for greatness and a purpose, but you have found yourself in a place You have found where you are and you're not happy where you are. You don't want to be there, but you got to start digging out. And he told me straight up, you got to get back to OOLA. And the first step as OOLA is to be aware of where you are. So every one of you needs to start here. No matter if you're rocking your finances in your career, but your marriage might be a little off, or your marriage is great, but your finances are a little off, or you're not fulfilled in your career, you have to start at this level and say, okay, looking at the 7 F's, the 7 key areas of life: fitness, finance, family, field, which is your career, faith, friends, and fun. Where am I 1 to 10 in these areas? Now, you can go online and do a real in-depth test, or in the book, or, we'll teach that in the mastermind. We're going to go deep in the mastermind with you, and give you little workbooks and everything to follow. But you have to understand exactly where you are. It's the first thing your smartphone does is the little dot. It says, this is where you are. Now tell me where you want to go. No one can skip this part. You can't just go, all right, what are my dreams for my business? What are my dreams for my finances? Unless you know exactly where you are in all 7 areas. And then you can say, okay, now this is where I am. It's just where I am. It's not who I am. What's this God-given greatness inside me? And that leads us to step 2. And this is where you start putting the pieces back together, your dreams and your goals for your life. But I don't want to skip past how important step 1 is, because if your life is not where you want it right now in any of the areas, you all want to skip it. No one wants to address the debt. No one wants to address the relationships. No one wants to address the toxic friends, the lack of faith, the overeating, the binge eating. No one wants to address it. But we say in OOLA, that's just where you are. It's not who you are. Don't worry about it. We're like a loving community. We accept and love everybody. No judgment. So let's just be real with where we are, and then we can start making those changes.
And this is, I'm going to stay here because it's so valuable, because it is the first step in a framework, and you can't start on step 2. And I've done it. I know Dave's done it. You've probably done it too. Those watching have done it. It's the language we tell ourselves, and it's impossible to change what we don't confront. I mean, you can't change what you don't confront. So if your marriage isn't where you want it to be, you have to say that out loud. Maybe not next to your spouse, but maybe on a piece of paper. I mean, you have to acknowledge that. If your money's not right, you have to acknowledge it. It's been said over and over again, but the first step in solving a problem is identifying that there is one. And most of us, because we don't want to confront it, because the thought of paying off all the student loans and the loan to the parent and the credit cards is just overwhelming, so we just push it under the rug. The thought of a marriage that's slowly drifted over 15 years, of how to pull that back together with the hurtful words and the things that have been done and the things that have been said, it just seems like an insurmountable task. The thought of gaining 5 or 10 pounds a year over the course of 10 to 15 years, like, how am I going to do this? I mean, so we just continue more of the same. And if you continue to do more of the same, you're going to get more of what you've been getting, which is distance in your relationship, poor health, and more debt, and all the things that go with that. So this exercise, although can be painful, I mean, put it all on the table. And if you need to walk around it and look at it a few times and grieve it and cry and get sad and get mad, more power to you, because emotion is where change happens. So just place it all on the table and say, what Dave's saying is so true. This isn't who you are. We all make mistakes. We all have our failures. We all have our bad choices. But just the first step is just acknowledging that they're there, because you're not going to be able to change that unless you confront that.
And Martha, if I can jump in real quick, I just want to add like a minute to that, and then you can take over. But this is the importance of the mastermind. We want to go deep into this, and we're a community of people that are going to be hanging out together on December 7th. But it's going to be that. It's going to be, let's look at all these things. And you have to be brave enough to say, okay, I'm ready to confront this. And I know how bad that sucks. I know how painful that was for me when Troy said, you need to write down the 7 areas of life. You need to figure out where you are, and you need to look at it. And you need, like he said, you need to walk around it, grieve it a little bit, but figure it out. And that was very painful. But I'm telling you that if you aren't happy with where you are in life right now at any level, marriage, your friends, drama, toxicity, your health, your business, your money, wherever it is, you have to get it all out. And then you start making those changes. There's never going to be a safer community than the OOLA community, the Martha community, in this mastermind group on December 7th, of just hanging out with everybody and saying, hey, it's okay that you got some debt. I remember I had debt too. It's okay that you're going through a divorce. I know what that's like. It's okay that your relationship with your son or your daughter isn't the way you want it to. I understand that. You've been fighting with your spouse a lot. This person understands that too. I know what that's like to go through a divorce. And we all say, okay, now, and you only have to divulge what you want to divulge, but you have to look at it and address it. And then know you're in a safe community and say, okay, now let's put the pieces back together again. When we're at OOLA Palooza, which is our 2-day event, when we go through this process, which we're going to go through very similar in the mastermind, we go through this process. There's a lot of people that are shedding tears, and it's not like weakness leaving the body. It's just old stuff. You know, it's grieving this old stuff, these decisions you made that led you to where you are today. And then you start to build it all together, and you see those tears go away, and you see smiles and hope and inspiration start to return. And that's why, you know, in everything we teach, whenever we are teaching the 3 simple steps to your OOLA life, it's the most valuable thing we teach. It's the fun part of what we teach, because it really is the 3 steps to putting it all back together again. So super excited for that.
Yeah, you guys, I mean, I don't think we can talk enough about the community. I don't think even an hour, maybe even 2 hours would be enough time to even talk about community. Whenever I was reading an article, something, I don't remember, the other day, and it said, what do people really need, like, in their businesses? And this was business, because I'm a business nerd, right? But what is like the one thing that people need in their business? Do women, actually, it was women specifically, what do women really need in their business? And the one thing that they were saying was they need cheerleaders. Now, of course, they need skill sets and things like that. That kind of goes without saying. But what they need mostly to keep them going are cheerleaders. And you guys, our communities are not communities of fake people pretending to be better than everybody else. They're people that are open and honest and transparent about their own past struggles. That, I mean, you hear Dave talk about his background. I've talked about my background. We own it. Excuse me. And until you can actually own what happened to you, you don't have freedom to be able to, because you'll always be looking over your shoulder, right? Like, who's gonna out me that I used to be this person, right? Like, who's gonna out me that I had to claim bankruptcy? Who's gonna out me that I used to be a raging alcoholic, right? Who's gonna out me? And when you own it and you learn from it, and then you teach from it, and then you live your life in service to other people because of what you've been through, you guys, that is everything coming full circle. That is taking what was maybe meant to be something that was supposed to take you out, right? That is taking it and turning it around for good, which is what God does, in my opinion, right? And so that, you guys, is we need to own our stories, be open, be authentic, and understand that you're in a community of other people that are doing that. And that's what allows you to even be able to do it. You may start joining the community and be like, you know, a lurker. You know, you may join the community and sort of like scroll and be like, oh, okay, yeah, I get what they're saying. I get what they're saying. And maybe you don't say anything at first, and that's totally okay. But there's going to be a day. There's going to be a day where you feel strong enough to say something, where you feel strong enough to say your own story, where you can start actually crafting what the rest of your life is going to look like and speak it out, right? And that's what that entire community is about, you guys.
And by the way, that's the exact opposite of every other community out there. If you look at Facebook groups, or you look at Instagram, or you look at all these big, huge communities, they're actually the opposite. They don't encourage, they discourage. You feel less than. If you're comparing yourself to the best of the best of the best. When I was growing up, I mean, I lived in a neighborhood called Oak Park Circle. It was literally a round circle with about 30 houses. So I had 30 dudes to compare myself to. I was the 4th best football player and the 18th best this. Well, now with Facebook and Instagram, you're comparing yourself with the elite of it. You're always going to feel less than. And I don't want to understate the value. That's why we're attracted to what you do, Martha, in your community, because it's so similar to OOLA, is that we want to leave the toxicity out. We want to leave the negativity out. And we want this safe place to encourage and grow. Even if someone's dreams, we're going to talk about setting dreams today, the bus is the coolest thing ever, because what I discovered in this process is just as unique as our gifts and talents are, so are our dreams. Some people want to build a killer multi-million-dollar business. Some people want to have a sustainable organic farm that just provides for their family. It's just bizarre to look at us. Our dreams are as unique as our gifts, but when you homogenize us all in Facebook or all on Instagram, we all feel like we have to follow this model of success. And what we're talking about today is purpose, and it's not in alignment with our purpose oftentimes. And that's what's messed up. And that's why it's awesome that you point out the value of community. That's one of the things Dave and I talk about, is the coolest thing in this coaching community. And the coolest thing with the clients that the coaches are guiding is they're all seeking a safe place to be vulnerable, to be honest, and most importantly, follow a path that's going to move them from a place where they're unhappy to a place that's more consistent with their purpose and their dreams.
Yes. Boom. Boom. Dave, are you frozen? You're not frozen.
I don't know. I don't think so. I'm
Okay.
intense. I'm focused.
Oh my goodness.
I'm not frozen. I'm focused. Am I frozen?
No, you're not frozen. You're good. I just didn't. I'm
Okay,
sorry.
good.
I totally broke that. I broke that completely. What was do you want to do point
No,
three?
I was actually super focused. What's that?
Do you want to do point three, the third point?
Let's actually jump on step 2, because we started talking about, can you guys hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, so in step 1, we're looking at where are you in these 7 areas, and Troy was starting to touch on point 2, and I want to bring that home a little bit farther, because this is where you put it all back together. This is where instead of tears of pain, we see tears of like inspiration and tears of hope and tears of passion, because this is where you start to say, okay, here is where you are. Where you are is just where you are. It's not who you are. Now let's discover who you are. Let's actually start to put your dreams and your goals on paper. This becomes your North Star. This becomes the direction that you're going to take your life over the next year. At OOLA, whenever we teach this, when we teach this in the mastermind coming up in 3 weeks, this will be my favorite part, is because we see people start to put their dreams back together. You're going to be putting your life back together when you're in this. And you're going to say, okay, this is where I am in my finances. This is where I am in my family life. But what does my life look like when I put my dreams on paper? What do I truly want for my life? Not what my mom wants, not what my dad wants, not what my community or my pastor, teacher, preacher, whatever. What do I want for my business? What do I want for my finances? What do I want for my relationships? What is my purpose for my life? What do I want that to be? And when you start putting that down and then start putting the goals in place for that, that is truly magical. And that is the best moment. And I know, Martha, as you're going through the coaching certification, you had to go through that process. Yeah. So, and I know you're a goal setter and I know you like business. So when you got to the point that when you're writing on paper your dreams and goals for your life, that's a great feeling.
It was great. Yeah, it was awesome.
Tell me about that a little bit.
Because my goals that I typically do are always business related, right? Because I think Troy and I are cut from the same cloth a bit whenever it's just like it's go business, right? And so that's what I always focus on. So whenever I got to translate that, I'm gonna get teary. When I got to translate that into my friends and my family and how I want that to look, and fun and how I want that to look, right? Because you guys were joking around with Mike and I. You're like, if this is the most fun you've had climbing Camelback Mountain, we got to get you out, right? And that's true. I was like, man, I need to do more stuff like this, right?
So seriously, we have to talk about this because this is what OOLA protects me from me, and OOLA is going to protect you from you and everyone watching. I feel like OOLA was built for me because I would be a billionaire and have multiple businesses and be alone and lost. Honestly, right. I would be, because if I'm left to me, it's all I think about, all I do. Dave's taught me, and OOLA has taught me through this process, the idea of finding joy in every day and not kicking joy down the road until I'm 65, and then because I have all this money, I'm going to find this more joy at some level that no one else can find. It's just not true. And that simple thing, that I saw that in you guys. You have the ability financially and with schedule to do anything you want. We hike Camelback Mountain, which there's a mountain you can't drive a few miles without running into a mountain in Arizona. And they're like, Mike's so sweet. He's like, you guys, he's told me like 3 times, like, it is the past 2.5 years. This is the most fun thing we've done. Like, dude, you need to get out more. Like, you need to you need more in the category of fun. Like, you guys are crushing business, crushing money, continue to do that. But you have to have joy in the day. That's why OOLA is living differently, because we've been sold a punk of goods. Everyone's been sold a punk of goods, including me. And I love business. So it's all I read. It's all I do. I love the topic of personal finance because I see the power of gaining control of your finances and what that can do for your life. But we've all been sold this punk of goods that if you earn this much money and you have a business like this, you're going to be happy. It's simply not true. We talk to people all the time and coach people at the highest level making $1 million a month and more who are miserable, quietly miserable. They're amazing on Instagram, And everyone's going, I want to be like them. And I'm kind of going to myself, no, you don't. You really don't. You don't want to be like them. You want to be like them in 2 categories, but the rest of it, you're actually doing better than they are. So the beautiful thing about the community, we can learn from each other. There's many people watching this who would love to make an extra $500 a month because it would rock their world. Absolutely go pursue that. If you're family driven, we get into the depths of this in the framework and in the training, and we will in the mastermind too. But if you're family driven and nothing matters to you more than your kids and your family, which I'm the same way, but you have to learn in your brain that by me earning a little extra income, I'm better with my family. It's more opportunities for my family. It's a better education. It's more freedom. You have to be able to switch the wiring because it's not always minutes. So it's just such a beautiful process, this OOLA framework, because it introduces us to us again. It says, you know what, like these are the things, this is the mess, I'm going to clean that up. But really, who am I? That's what we're asking. And where do I want to go? Not consistent and turning off the noise. You used an analogy of a wet blanket. Like we had a purpose and someone puts a wet blanket on it. A wet blanket is credit card debt. And then another wet blanket is relationship problems. And we meet people all the time. There's so many wet blankets, they can't even see that light inside them anymore. They can't even see that thing that made them special, that thing that was unique. And all we first need to do is start removing the wet blankets. Get the debt under control, get a little healthier. Let's work on the relationship. Just have a date night. Let's just have some uninterrupted family dinners. And all of a sudden you start to get this glimmer again. And this glimmer is, hey, there's your purpose. For the first time, you've got a taste of who you're designed to be. And it's not always money in business. And this is the irony of ironies coming from us who love the topic. I want someone to make just tons of cash. I want you to have multiple streams of income as much as anyone on the planet short of you. But I don't want you to do that at the expense of key relationships. Because what you're going to find if you get to this spot that very few people get to where the money is right and the business is right, if you have nothing left other than that, you're going to be alone and you're going to be miserable. So all we're saying is as you continue to grow your business, as you continue to make money, don't lose sight of the other 5 areas that are key and important.
That's where whenever I started making those goals for the other things, it was just like, it was a reminder. And it's not, somebody else said this, and I was trying to scroll back, but somebody else said this earlier, and it was a while ago, so I was going to scroll back through a lot of stuff. But someone said they didn't realize that their life was even out of balance until they did the OOLA wheel. And I would say that that's where I was. I thought I was totally good, and I'm like, well, I'll do this, right? And then whenever I did it, I was like, oh shucks, there's some stuff that can be better, right? And that's where those goals came into play, and I'm stoked to crush those goals and get
we meet people who always are overwhelmed, and that's a lot of times when they're introduced to OOLA, is they feel overwhelmed and stressed out. But the other half of this is people who are doing okay, but they just want to grow. So you're already doing okay, which you are, but could I do it better? Yeah. There's just an untapped potential inside of us that we don't tap into because things are okay. Complacency is like the death of a big dream. It's like, hey, things are kind of good. No one's knocking at the door, no debt collectors at the door, relationships average. He's not yelling at me, she's not yelling at me. Kids are kind of okay, but it can be better. It can be so much more. So there's this whole thing of getting people from overwhelmed to neutral. And then there's this beautiful spot of, okay, I've removed the wet blankets. Now I'm at neutral. Now how do we go next level? Now how do I tap into that God-given greatness that's within me? So it's like you clean up the mess, you pull the weeds from the lot, you move the dirt. Now let's build something amazing. Let's build something amazing. Before you're just pulling the poison ivy and leveling things off and removing the rocks, right? But now you get to this point, which is a beautiful spot where, hey, we're kind of good. But don't stop there. That's where most people stop. Most people go like, hey, and you're settling. When we say don't settle for ordinary when extraordinary is within you, you're settling for ordinary. And what we're saying is it's so much better than that. The relationships can be so much more rich. Financially, you can be so much more free. Your spiritual and faith connections can be so much tighter. Your sense of purpose and meaning can be so much deeper. Your ability to find joy and do bucket list things can be so much more grand. So there is that cool process that now we've been teaching OOLA for a long time. The first book came out 8 years ago this week. So we've been teaching this, and we're teaching it before then, by the way, but we see people go from overwhelmed to stress to neutral to now I can actually build something out of the ground. I actually now clearly, for the first time ever, see my purpose. I clearly see why I'm on this planet. I clearly see what I want to build. And to start building that is a whole another level of extraordinary.
Heck yes. Agreed. I want to say this right now. How many people that are watching right now, I want to see in the comments, I want to gauge what's happening. How many people that are watching this right now feel like they could use some help with this? How many people feel like maybe they're already tapped into their purpose, but maybe they could use a little bit more? Also, how many people, of the people that are already tapped into their purpose, how many people are being conduits or facilitating that change in other people as well? That's my question for you. Of the people that are watching, because I know that a lot of you are watching, you're watching because you want to find your purpose, and a lot of you really know what it is, really know what lights you up, but are you facilitating change in other people where that is concerned? If you are wanting to live a life that you are designing, right? If you are wanting to live a life in purpose, that I feel like we are all essentially just little lights that help other people around us. Did you know that you can do that as a career? Did you know that you can do that and make a living doing that? Did you know that the way that you show up in your world, you can create a community around yourself and you can serve your people and be able to make income streams, make a living doing that? Because you might be watching and you might be like, man, I am sitting in this cubicle 40 hours a week. I really like the idea of this whole purpose thing. That sounds awesome, but I'm kind of tired, right? Like I get home and I'm a little tired. Here's the thing. Going through OOLA, going through the coaching, going through the training, all of those things, if you become an OOLA coach, you're going through the training. Like it or not, you're going through that. You're going to love it. I say like it or not, you're going to love it. By the way, I'm telling you right now, I did. It was fantastic. You guys, you go through that training on your own, and after you're done with the training, then you're able to start making an income doing that, you guys. People are looking for easy income opportunities, and I really, like, whenever I look at, like, get rich quick things, like, that's not what I'm talking about. Just add water, that is what I'm talking about, okay? They have an entire framework, you guys. If you didn't know, now you do, okay? You can be a coach with the OOLA brand, you guys. They've created everything. They create the entire certification process, but they also create a coaching program that people go through with you. They sign up to go through it with you, and what they do is they go through the program and you touch in with them and you help facilitate change with those people in the way that you best can, because it's what you have done yourself, right? It's the work that you have done on yourself. I have this bug in my face. So here is the deal, you guys. If you're sitting there and you're watching this and you're like, okay, well, I'm working this 40-hour-a-week job and I'm tired. I don't want to do this anymore, but I don't see a way out. Understand that there are two ways of being in the world, okay? One way of being is to see challenges, and one way of being is to see solutions, okay? You can't be both, all right? If you're going to see challenges, you're going to see challenges. If you choose, okay? I didn't say there's two types of people in the world. There's two ways of being in the world. If you choose to see solutions instead, then dare I say a solution for you would be to just become an OOLA coach and be able to help the people around you. You guys, you don't have to go get, a PhD in anything. All you have to do is care about people. And I'm going to tell you right now that you wouldn't be watching this if you weren't that kind of person. You would have already clicked off. We would be annoying the snot out of you right now if you weren't that kind of person, right? You are that person. The question is, when are you ready? Here's something that my pastor said last Sunday. He said, our job is to leave it all on the court. Here's where I'm going to cry. Our job, you guys, here is at the end of our lives to be able to look back and have left it all on the court. My question is, are you doing that? Do you feel like you're living in that space? Or are you just existing? Not right or wrong. Are you just existing? Are you just living the same day over and over and over and over again? That's my question. So give me your guys' feedback. The mastermind, you guys, is December 7th. We're going to continue here, but I just had to go. I just felt the need to go there. The mastermind is December 7th. It is going to rock y'all's socks. 2021 is going to be insane. For people that are doing this, 2021 is going to be your year. And I'm not saying that flippantly, okay? I'm saying that because I know darn well. So December 7th is when we're doing the mastermind. If you sign up at oolalife.com/Martha, it's the thing at the bottom of the screen here, right? If you sign up there, you go to the page. If you're one of my green personality people and you're like, I need all the data, right? Then read the whole page if you need to, okay? If you are one of my reds and you're like, just give me a button, there's a button near the top and then there's other buttons on the page, okay? Go ahead and click on the button. You're going to talk to an advisory coach, okay, you guys? They're totally awesome, fantastic people. This isn't like a weird sales process. It's just to see if it's a good fit. If it's a good fit, you can jump in, and if you don't feel like it is, then you don't have to. It's not a weird headlock situation, okay, you guys? But the people that are getting in, you're going to be able to get into this $2,500 mastermind. You get into it for free on December 7th, okay? So just a heads up of that. I'll let you guys get back into your points. I'm sorry, I just had to sidetrack completely.
It was awesome, and I'm just going to actually touch on one thing, and I'll let Troy kind of take it away from there. But one thing you said that is so key is you talked about helping other people and the heart for helping other people. When we look at our OOLA coaching network, all 50 states, I think 17 countries now have coaches in them, OOLA coaches. Why that's growing is because of that, exactly what you said. So people go through step 1, step 2, step 3. Where are they today? Where they want to go? And how are they going to get there? The how they're going to get there is really their accountability, the community, the steps they take every day. But what we teach everybody is once you're making those changes in your life, then that's when you reach back and help others. So, and that's what our coaches are doing. They're helping others, but they get to do it and make a career out of that. Whether they want to do it as a part-time or full-time career or another stream of income like you talk about, Martha, is like, now I got my life figured out. I can get my relationships going. I can get my finances going. I can get debt-free. I can get my fitness back on track. But now I want to help other people do the same. That's why OOLA is growing everywhere. That's why people are so excited about the opportunity to be an OOLA coach, is because now they get to do that. What we really just brushed over today was step 1, step 2, steps 3 is where you are today, where you want to go, and how you're going to get there. And that's going to be the first thing you go through in the mastermind at a very, very deep level. We're going to be taking you through a process. You're going to download a little workbook. And you're actually going to go through, like when you look at finances, it's going to be like your debt, your life insurance, your emergency fund, everything. Like, where are you in all 7 areas? Where do you want to go? And you're going to have time where you're going to write down your dreams and you're going to write down your goals. And you're going to start to think about, if I start to put my life together the way I want it, how does that look? And then it's going to go to step 3. What are the action steps you can take every single day? And then how can you reach back and help one other person in the process? And maybe that's by being a OOLA coach. But you can also do it just in your community, in your family, with your children, with your friends, with your church group, whatever it is. So that's the cool part. And that's the most beautiful thing I see is as people are changing their lives, they're not changing their lives and sitting on the throne going, I have a secret. Look how successful I am. They're saying, hey, I learned something and it's helped my life immensely. And now I want to help you. And they're reaching back and helping others. And that's what forms that amazing community of people helping people.
Yeah, we're not building an army of experts. We're building an army of encouragers, people who are honest with their own shortcomings. They're using the framework in their own life. That's who this is. The entire advisory coach team were once sitting where everyone watching this is. They didn't know what OOLA was. They used the principles and the framework in their own life. They got results. They got passionate about it. They started sharing it with others as a coach, and now they want to be the voice to help other people who are on the fence. Like, is this a fit for me? Am I qualified? Do I have what it takes? I don't have a degree. I do have this. And they're just honest about where they're. The beautiful thing is we built this around, you said just add water. We built it that way because more important than anything, we wanted the right heart. We wanted the people who really believe that as a culture, we're going the wrong direction. The people that feel we're raising our kids to normalize that, normalize inactivity, normalize distance relationships and no real connections. We're normalizing this as a culture. And the reason OOLA coaches are so cool is they're passionate that they believe that's wrong. They believe that we have to live differently as a generation to guide people because people are craving it, by the way. If you really have a conversation about life balance and you talk about they're craving it and the process in a really good way reveals your blind spots. So you saw it, right? You think you're great and all of a sudden like, you know what, this would be a valuable thing. This would add more depth to my life. And I just think it's cool that people are here looking at this. There's a coach last week that said, I change lives for a living. And if there's anything that I like as far as someone who's using the framework to reach back and help someone else, is what a great legacy. What a great category in your life is part of your life is dedicated to helping others change their lives. Now, it's what we need. It's what we crave as a culture. And I'm just happy that people are giving it a look. You're going to get incredible content. You talk about the mastermind. 2020 has been different for all different people. We coach people all the time. So we know some people it's been their best year ever. Some people it's been a struggle. If we would have been living how we were living before OOLA, 20 years ago, and we just let 2020 happen to us, it would have been a rough year for me personally, and I know Dave too. But we've just learned to pivot because of this process, and it's been an amazing year because we didn't just sit and wait for it to pass. You mentioned it, like you see challenges or you see solutions. So when this stuff started happening and all of our live events, which was a big source for us, we were on the road a lot and we're speaking and doing book tours, all of that went away. We didn't just go, that's a challenge, it'll pass. When someone else flies in with a cape and solves my problems, we're like, no, let's do this. Using OOLA in your own life on a regular basis, this is an ongoing thing. This isn't a class you'll take. This will give you this, it's like this bonus filter on Instagram that you can look at your life and go, wow, all right, I look at life differently now. I look at life holistically. Not just in the category of money and business, but I look at it on the things that really matter. And I'm just super excited about the mastermind's going to be great, but the content is going to be incredible. It's going to be like OOLA meets HBR and just boom, they have a baby and it's just this mega baby. So it's just this cool
mega baby.
A mega baby. Is that a good thing?
Is that like the New Year's baby?
I don't like that. I picture this just awesome, like wow. Like a mega baby that has all the best of both worlds. But what I think the best part is it's gonna give people the chance to take a look at this and go, man, is this a fit for me? Because if you can get the taste of not only seeing change in your own life, but if you can see as you start to make change in your own life, what that does to your family without saying a word. And then all of a sudden you pour into the people you care about, and all of a sudden you pour into a random person who finds you as a coach, and you see a transformation and you participated in that transformation. That's a depth of fulfillment that very few people can experience. And then if you experience that and you tell me that's not one of the best things you've ever experienced is empowering someone else to see that they're amazing and that they're designed by God for greatness and a purpose, they don't have to settle for the way they're living it, man, to participate that and to be a bystander in that process is deeply rewarding.
So just to bring this full circle, Martha, I have a question for you. Okay. You stood on top of that mountain a week ago.
Yeah.
How did that feel?
Amazing. It was
amazing.
I kept saying it as I was going up. It was not easy to go up, but it was fantastic to go up it. Yeah.
Yeah. And like I'm not going to throw Troy under the bus here, but let's look at the whole situation here. So we stood at the bottom of the mountain and we looked at the mountain, we saw where we needed to go, and it was challenging, right?
Yeah.
And we started on this journey as a group of people. And then Troy just ran up to the mountain by himself, right?
He did that.
And
yeah,
he was like, whatever. we lost him. We didn't see him for like an hour. But I was like an OOLA coach. And I was like, Martha, take 10 more steps. You can do this, Martha. Just come to me. Put your hand here, Martha. You got this. And your husband was like, let's go. We got this. And as a team, we made it to the top.
Yes.
And that's what OOLA coaching is. So Troy was a bad example, but still an amazing human.
I was Instagram. I made it look easy. Like I'm sitting up there having a picnic, and I'm posting a picture and getting a bunch of likes. I was that Instagram person.
And getting a bunch of likes.
Yeah. So,
no, it was super fun.
It was
super
fun.
fun.
But you know,
climbing a mountain oh no, Troy, it's me. Climbing a mountain is like a huge metaphor for life that way. And it is. You start at the bottom, you know where you want to go, and you have to maneuver how you're going to get to the top. And it's just easier with people by your side. That's really, truly what this whole community is like, you could have got up the mountain by yourself, Martha, maybe not, maybe a helicopter, but you would have got there. But with your husband and me and all of us doing it together, it was just more fun.
Well, you guys, I have to like super quick. I know it's 5:47. I totally need to super quick say this. I got to a point, we were talking, so they were telling you like we were asking questions and we were all talking. All of a sudden, the path is gone, all right? Like the trail is gone. I didn't really it didn't process to me that I was walking up like a rock that was like flat kind of on its side here. I didn't really process that until I got to a point where I was like, oh my gosh, I can't go any further. I was stuck, y'all. I was looking down and then I was looking up and I'm like, there was like a handrail, like what was it, 20 feet to my left. I couldn't even get to that thing, right? Like I was just like, well, I live here now. Right? Like this is just where I am. And so anyway, as we were going, as I was like stuck, my legs are shaking and I'm starting to panic, right? I'm starting to get scared. And Mike's like, okay, well, I'm going to stay right here. You chill. And I'm like, but because I can't go anywhere else. Like, I'm just going to be here. And then Dave came down, you guys, and was like, okay, put your foot here, put your hand here, put your foot here, put your hand here, got me over to the rail. And then the rest was really just climbing, right? But that point right there where I was like, man, if I lose it, I'm sliding down this thing for I don't even know how, like I didn't think I was going to hurt myself, but I was going to like slide down and have to come back up it again somehow, which I don't even know how I did. But anyway, when Dave said like he was essentially coaching me, that did not go unnoticed whenever it was even happening, because he was like, listen, because how many people are in their life and they're like, I'm stuck. I don't see a way out. I don't know how this, like I'm in a place that is totally foreign to me and I'm stuck. And that's where we come in and we say, hey, I've been there. And you go here and you go here and you go here and you go here. Here's your safeguard, right? That's what it is, you guys. He told that. And now I'm forever in his debt, I think. So there's that. Anyway, you guys need to be an OOLA coach and get people to the handrail. Get them to the handrail, y'all. That's what I'm saying. It is 5:50. We need to wrap up in a minute. What are our famous last words that we're saying here?
I'm going to say everybody go to oolalife.com/Martha, schedule a call with an advisor coach. Talk to that advisor coach about, if this is something that you're going to do. Number one, by being an OOLA coach, you're going to learn OOLA for yourselves at a depth like you've never learned before. Like Martha was saying, it's going to open your eyes to blind spots you don't even know you have that are going to catch you in 1 to 2 years. That you're like, man, if I'd have known that in 2021, I could have, really got ahead of that. So do that. Get on with an advisor coach. Talk to them about your options. If you decide
advisory coach, just see if it's a good fit for you.
You guys, let's circle back to leaving it all on the court, right? Let's circle back to using our gifts and leaving it all on the court, which is what we're here to do, in my opinion. Whenever I said that earlier, did you feel a tug? Did you feel something in your chest, in your heart? Did you feel like a tap where it was like, she's talking to you, right? Like, that's how it feels. It feels like laser focused. It feels like you almost want to throw up or cry or something, where it's just, it's an emotion that takes you over because I'm talking to you. That is what we're doing here, okay? If I'm talking to you, if you feel like this is for you, you need to follow the nudge, you guys. It's not a nudge from me. It's a nudge from something much bigger than us, okay? Follow the nudge. This is what you're supposed to be doing if you're getting that feeling. I'm not saying if you're not, then you totally need to do this. If you're getting the nudge, if you're getting the feeling that like, okay, she might be talking to me, then get on the call, you guys. It's life is too short to not leave it all on the court, you guys. I love you so much. We're going to pop out of here and we will see you next Thursday. Bye-bye, you guys.